The show opens on Little Tall Island, Maine, as residents prepare for an impending blizzard. The town buzzes with activity, people discussing the storm while gathering supplies. Inside a home, an elderly woman named Martha Clarendon sips tea and watches the news, which reports on similar storms from the past. Suddenly, a knock at her door interrupts her. When she opens it, she is brutally murdered by a stranger, and the intruder steps inside her house. Meanwhile, at the local supermarket, shoppers stock up on food for the storm. Michael Anderson, the store manager and local constable, gets a call from his wife reporting an issue at the daycare center. He quickly teams up with a friend, Alton, to check on the situation. Upon arrival, they find a girl stuck with her head between the stairs. They calmly help her and then head back to their jobs. Nearby, a boy named Davy Hopewell plays with a ball close to Martha's home. He notices the main gate is open and Martha's cane is left on the stairs, prompting him to go inside to check on her. As he enters, he calls out for Martha but soon discovers her lying dead on the floor. Suddenly, he hears a stranger's voice, taunting him that he will never play basketball for the school. Terrified, Davy runs out of the house and into the street, shouting for help while the stranger casually tosses the ball closer to him with a flick of his finger. He then throws the ball at the television, shattering the screen. In the street, town manager Robert Beals stops Davy and asks what's wrong. Davy tells him that Martha has been murdered and that the intruder is still inside her house. Initially skeptical, Robert ultimately decides to investigate on his own. Inside, he discovers Martha's lifeless body and moves to the living room, where the stranger is sitting. When he asks for the stranger's identity, the man shares a haunting story about Robert's past, revealing that he was not with his mother when she died in a nursing home. He recounts how she called his name as she choked to death, claiming that she is now waiting for him in hell to devour him. He then hands Robert Davy's basketball, prompting Robert to retreat and hurry to his car to contact Michael. Meanwhile, Michael stops by the town hall to check on the emergency shelter setup and ensures there are enough supplies for the townspeople during the impending blizzard. Frustrated by the lack of responses from Michael, Robert expresses his irritation to the person who mentioned Michael's absence. Just then, Michael arrives at the station and asks Robert where he is. After quickly learning the location, Michael rushes off with Alton. As they make their way through the snow, Michael gets a brief overview of the situation that led Robert there. A crowd is gathered outside, eager to see what is happening. Michael and Alton enter the house, with Robert warning them to be cautious. Inside, they discover Martha's lifeless body, her face severely deteriorated. They proceed to the living room, where they find the intruder calmly lounging on the sofa. Slowly, Michael and Alton handcuff him and escort him out. Outside, Michael asks for his name, and the man introduces himself as Andre Linoge. As the duo prepares to take him to the headquarters, Andre mentions Robert's name, prompting Michael to question if they know each other. Robert, terrified by his past revelation earlier, denies any connection, insisting that Andre is crazy. The two officers then take him away in the van. Conversely, Molly, Michael's wife, is busy returning children to their parents after the daycare service. Once she finishes, she receives a call from Katrina, a store worker, who informs her about Martha's murder and Michael's involvement in the investigation. Katrina urges Molly to let Alton's wife know, but Molly tells that she has already left after picking up her daughter. Molly tells Katrina to contact her in 20 minutes, hoping she will reach home safely. Feeling panicked by the news of the murder, Molly decides to head to the store. She quickly gets dressed with her son, Ralphie, and they set off together. As Michael and Alton transport Andre to the police headquarters, Andre briefly reveals a sinister side of himself during the ride. Upon arriving, they carefully exit him from the van. While Alton struggles to unlock the door, Andre's eyes turn black, causing the lock to break. This prompts Michael to ask Alton to open the door from the other side. Alton suggests they take Andre through the store to enter the headquarters, but Michael, wary of the risk, tells Alton to leave him alone with Andre and go open the door from the other side. Inside the store, Molly and others ask about Michael and the murderer. Alton reassures them that Michael is okay and that he is with Andre. Meanwhile, Andre speaks to Michael, suggesting that if Michael gives him what he wants, he will leave peacefully. Alton and Robert enter the headquarters through the store but still struggle to unlock the door. So, Michael decides to transport Andre through the store instead. When Alton joins Michael to help with Andre, he warns Andre not to make any sudden moves. Alton also tells the shoppers to clear a path for them. As they walk through the store, everyone watches closely. Andre engages with Peter, a seafood wholesaler with a shady side business. He continues talking until Michael pushes him forward. He then approaches Katrina, revealing some of her past, and continues moving forward after. As he heads into the headquarters, Ralphie suddenly appears and bumps into Andre, who grabs him, creating a tense moment for the Anderson family. He tells Ralphie he knows him and mentions the birthmark on his nose, calling it a fairy saddle, just like Michael does. After Ralphie questions him about the handcuffs, Andre releases him. Then, Billy confronts Andre about his comments regarding Katrina. Michael intervenes, pushing Billy away, but with just a look from Andre, Billy starts bleeding from his nose. After the incident, Michael quickly takes Andre into the locker room. He searches him thoroughly but finds nothing except blood-covered gloves. When he asks about Andre's wallet, he gets no response. Frustrated, especially after Andre touched his son, Michael pushes him roughly against the bars. In his anger, he also tells Robert to stop interfering and instructs Alton to contact the state police in Machias before leaving the station. Alton struggles to contact the state police because of a lost connection. Meanwhile, Michael asks a few young men in the store to take turns watching Andre with Alton. On the streets, a tree falls on the power line, causing a brief blackout. In the dark, Peter, a local helping to take turns, sees Andre with glowing red eyes but chooses not to mention it to Alton. Meanwhile, Michael is at Martha's house gathering evidence from the crime scene. He notices a message written in blood on the wall that says, "Give me what I want, and I will go away." However, when he reaches for his camera to take a picture, the writing vanishes. The same occurs with the crane that Andre used to murder Martha. Back at the station, Andre takes control of Peter, who starts scribbling on paper without realizing it, and even repeats what Andre tells him to say to Alton. Moments later, as Alton steps out for a drink, Andre starts to chant, his eyes shifting from black to a glowing red. Then his crane appears. The crane then emerges behind a man named Lloyd, who is writing Andre's message, "Give me what I want, and I will go away." Meanwhile, his partner, Ferd, observes the strong waves crashing against the shore and destroying their docks. When he calls out for Lloyd to come and see, he receives no response. Concerned, he enters the building only to discover Lloyd lifeless. Under Andre's influence, both Peter and Lloyd end up taking their own lives. As the storm intensifies on the island, residents gather at the town hall. Robert and other townsfolk discuss how Andre seems to know everyone's secrets. Just then, Molly arrives with Ralphie, seeking shelter. As the storm worsens, Robert instructs Ursula, a woman at the town hall, to ring the bell to summon all townspeople to safety. As the bell rings, more people begin to enter the town hall. Among them is Fred, who tells Robert about Lloyd's tragic death at the firehouse. Later, Michael returns to the station and notices that Alton looks shaken due to Peter's death. He finds Andre's ominous message scattered across the computer crossword puzzle and on the paper hanging from Peter's body. Michael orders Alton to check the communication lines. Alton heads to his car and connects with the town hall, where Ursula informs him of yet another death. She mentions that Robert took Henry, another townsfolk, with him to investigate the firehouse incident. Alton goes back inside to update Michael, who then instructs Alton and Crick, another man, who is taking turns watching over Andre, to retrieve the men from the firehouse. Once they leave, Michael approaches Andre to question him, asking about the cane and how he arrived on the island. Elsewhere, Alton encounters Robert and asks him to come to the headquarters. Robert hesitates at first, wanting to go to the town hall, but Alton manages to persuade him to follow Michael's orders and head to the headquarters instead. Simultaneously, Michael continues interrogating Andre, who avoids answering questions and instead shares stories about his college years. He also mentions Jack, a townsfolk who is helping Michael keep watch over him. As Andre reveals dark secrets about him, Jack grows increasingly angry, ultimately attempting to shoot Andre in the ensuing chaos. Michael intervenes to stop Jack, but in the process, he nearly gets shot himself. Fortunately, the bullet touches his body but does not hit him directly. Andre then hands Michael the bullets, deepening his suspicion. Just then, as they attend to Michael's wound, Alton, Robert, and their team arrive at the station. In the town hall, all the children are asleep except for Donnie, Robert's son, who is restless and wants his father to tuck him in as usual. Meanwhile, Billy and Katrina are struggling with their relationship due to Andre's revelations about their past. As they discuss their issues, Billy suddenly becomes possessed by Andre from his cell. Michael and his team notice Andre's unusual behavior, and Michael enters the cell to confront him. Despite Michael's questions, Andre focuses intently on his dark magic, urging Billy to hit Katrina with a can of apple juice while she stands with her back to him, crying over their relationship. However, Billy lacks the courage to follow through, saving Katrina from harm. This frustrates Andre, who then turns his attention to Katrina at the entrance of the town hall. He uses his cane to compel her to take it, and head to the storeroom where Billy is arranging items. Once inside, Katrina attacks Billy from behind, Meanwhile, Michael desperately tries to stop the unfolding chaos, but despite his efforts, Katrina ultimately kills Billy with the crane. Katrina steps outside, terrified by her actions, and lets out a scream that goes mostly unnoticed, except by an elderly woman in the town hall. Jonah, the woman, tries to confirm what she heard, but no one else claims to have heard the scream. Concerned about Katrina's absence after going to the storeroom, she decides to check on her. When she enters the storeroom, she discovers Billy's body wrapped in a rug. She asks Katrina what happened, and Katrina tearfully explains that the cane with the wolf's head compelled her to kill Billy. Overwhelmed with grief, she starts to sing a song beside his lifeless body. Meanwhile, others in the town hall struggle to watch the news on the television. The poor reception prevents them from getting any updates. Molly approaches Ursula, who expresses a sense that something terrible is about to happen. They sit down for a conversation, during which Ursula shares her unease about his husband, Peter, noting they have not heard from him in a while. She insists that her instincts are strong and asks Molly to oversee the schedules and work at the town hall, while she checks on the police headquarters. Reluctantly, Molly agrees and asks Ursula to send Michael a message saying his wife wants to see him. She insists on taking some men from the town hall to guard the prisoner and accompany her. Ursula agrees to inform Michael and prepares to leave the town hall. While Ursula and a man try to start the vehicle's engine, Jonah approaches them and reveals that Katrina has killed Billy in the storehouse. Ursula then insists on taking the bike herself, with Jonah as the passenger, to the police headquarters. Before they leave, she instructs the man to check the storehouse and keep the news from spreading. They then make their way through the snowy landscape to the headquarters. Meanwhile, some townspeople go to investigate the storehouse. Upon finding Katrina sitting next to Billy's body and singing, they are puzzled. They bring Katrina back to the town hall, where she is cared for despite her actions. While she is offered warm food, some men express their anger toward her for killing Billy. They suggest throwing her in jail for the murder. However, Molly and a few others try to calm the situation, reminding everyone that they have known Katrina for years. They argue that while she must face consequences, she deserves some time to collect herself first. In the station, the group discusses Andre, who makes it difficult for them to learn anything about him since he has no identification or any way to confirm his existence. Robert mentions that he knows things about his past and begins to suspect that Andre might be something inhuman. They theorize that Andre allowed himself to be captured at Martha's house, as he had plenty of opportunities to escape, but chose not to. Robert urges Michael to consider killing Andre. Just then, Ursula and Jonah arrive at the headquarters, where they discover Peter's body lying outside. Ursula breaks down in tears at the sight of her dead husband, but Michael manages to calm her and brings her inside. There, Jonah informs Michael about Billy's death as well. Once Ursula has composed herself, she relays the message from Molly, prompting Michael to think about using her suggestion. He discusses the situation with Alton and decides to put him in charge until he returns. Alternatively, Andre finds another target for his games. This time, he chooses Jonah's mother. As he begins his strange behavior, the women in the station look on in confusion. However, Michael's entrance draws attention away from Andre's antics. Michael plans to take the women back to the town hall and gather more men to guard Andre. Upon arriving at the town hall, they discover Jonah's mother dead, having suffocated herself in the basin. Before her death, she likely wrote down Andre's message. Michael quietly formulates a plan to move her body from the bathroom to the storeroom, where Billy's body is kept. He also gathers a group of men to keep watch over Andre at the station. As he prepares to leave the town hall, Molly suggests that he eliminate Andre to restore some peace to their lives. Back at the station, Andre, disguised as Robert's mother, attempts to manipulate him. As he provokes Robert, he grabs a gun and aims it at Andre, but the weapon suddenly transforms into a snake. A bright light emanates from the wolf's eyes on Andre's cane, filling the room with a strange glow. Alton and his team, who are playing cards nearby, rush to assist but find the door locked. The chaotic light enables Andre to break free from his cell and escape into the storm just as Michael arrives with more men. Before leaving, Andre tells Alton to pass on a message to Michael that if he gets what he wants, he will go away. Meanwhile, in the town hall, all the residents are sound asleep, sharing the same eerie dream. News spreads that 200 residents of Little Tall Island have mysteriously disappeared, with only 4 bodies found. Reporters arrive on the island and mention a similar case from 1587 in Roanoke, Virginia, where the only clue left behind was the word Croatan, a term no one seems to understand. The scene shifts to a snowy landscape where the islanders walk in a line toward the ocean. Before they leap in, each resident apologizes to Andre for not giving him what he desires. Suddenly, the dream breaks, and everyone wakes up in a panic, realizing they have all experienced the same vision. They understand that they must confront Andre and find out what he wants, or he will force them into a mass suicide just like in their dream. The next morning, Alton informs Michael that the lighthouse has been destroyed by the fierce storm. Curious, many residents venture outside into the snow to see the damage for themselves. As they gather and watch the lighthouse crumbling, some residents are mysteriously pulled back, unnoticed by others. When they finally realize many people are missing, the atmosphere turns tense. Seeing this, Michael urges everyone to return to the town hall. Michael then gathers a few young men to collect supplies from the daycare center. While he works, he recalls the story of Jesus and his disciples encountering a man possessed by demons. In the tale, Jesus casts the demons into a herd of pigs, which then run into the sea and drown. Before doing so, he asks the demons for their names, and they introduce themselves as Legion. As he reflects on this story, Ralphie in the town hall finds himself drawn into a dark room. Summoned by Andre,